Hey, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier. It's a Saturday night. I just thought I'd check in. Once again, thanks everyone. 976 some odd subscribers. Not to say that some are odd, probably all of you are odd in your own wonderful ways. That's why we're here. I don't do, I don't try to pretend like I'm on network television. I do have some content, the Messier Mantra, which was shot beautifully in a studio. My original films always seem very well done. I'd like to think most of them, most of the newer ones anyway, like The Impeccable and So You're the Guy. But for these videos where I just talk right to you, the audience, I just feel like I just want to come straight at you and talk and tell you what I'm doing and show up on location and spontaneous. That's what makes this channel, subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel, a little bit different than perhaps other channels. You'll feel like you're just watching some guy do stuff. You won't feel like you're watching a television show that doesn't have a very big budget, because I feel like that's what a lot of stuff on YouTube is, even stuff that I enjoy. That being said, just some thoughts, random thoughts. Yesterday, I watched a documentary, not the Netflix one, but a different one about good old Bob Ross, the painter. He passed away back in 1995. This other guy did a kind of an interesting documentary, very low budget if you had any budget. YouTube doc in kind of explored Bob Ross's story. I know that the Netflix doc, which probably had a lot bigger budget, um, is probably more insightful perhaps. But I thought that this guy on Netflix, or not the guy on Netflix, the guy on YouTube was pretty good. And if I could, it was something like Nerdster or the Nerd Guy or something. That was his YouTube channel. But if you just Google it or just go to YouTube and look for the Bob Ross video, not the Netflix one, but this bootleg thing. For me today, I've had a couple of days where I haven't put a lot of emphasis on videos because I had to get back to the other aspect of myself and my life, which is writing. And yesterday I tried to do some writing. I ended up in a venue, and this is why I'm kind of subtitling this video F Boy Effery, Fanboy Effery, which really, if you couldn't figure it out, it stands for fanboy fuckery. And that's not an insult to anyone. It's just kind of a fun thing to say. It could be a fangirl, it could be a fanboy. But basically, when you kind of put other people's creativity ahead of your own, and you put, and we all do this. See, even people that aren't involved in entertainment in any way, mainstream folks, they'll go to every Star Wars movie. They'll watch The Mandalorian. They'll watch, a buddy of mine's like this. He'll degrade and diminish my accomplishments, but yet he'll sit there and watch every season of Game of Thrones and memorize all the different tribes. So there's more fanboys out there in the world than you think, because a lot of people don't realize that they are a fanboy. If you're watching Game of Thrones, which I lovingly call Tits and Dragons, you're a fanboy. If you're watching The Sopranos and own the box set, you're a fanboy or a fangirl. So there's nothing wrong with that. But for people, well, just for myself, I'll speak for myself. What happened yesterday, I'll just give you a slice of life, an example. For whatever reason, I wanted to see the movie Stillwater again, the Matt Damon movie, where he plays the father of a young woman who's imprisoned overseas. I won't give anything else away. I saw the movie one time. I really enjoyed it, and that was about 6 weeks ago. And now the movie's playing basically at one time a day, like 4:10 p.m. And that's it. That's the only chance you have to see Stillwater in this town. And I'm guessing by next Thursday it'll be completely done, if not before. So Stillwater is on fumes, and I would like to see it for the second time for some reason. And like I said in previous videos, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, guys from Boston, an hour and a half north of me when I was in Rhode Island. So I like those guys. I usually like their movies. And but something yesterday was telling me, I was going to the theater. I was going to be a little bit late, perhaps, to see Stillwater. And then I got all fucking fucked up in my head, and I said, God damn it. I'm passing by this usual coffee house that I go to. It's where I do a lot of creative stuff. I get some writing done there. I do some YouTube stuff there. I've even done podcasts out of there. And I said, Matt Damon's not sitting on his ass watching Mike Messier YouTube channel, as far as we know. You know, Matt Damon's not sitting there reading A Distance from Avalon, When the Dying and the Dead by Mike Messier. And Matt Damon's not sitting there reading my film primer, and he's not supporting Fight or Play Basketball and Kindle Vela. Matt Damon does not give a shit about Mike Messier. Why should Mike Messier give a shit about Matt Damon? You know, and it's just one of those things. Why should I prioritize this guy's fucking movie over my own? And so and that's what I kind of yap and I tell other people, especially pro wrestling fans, but other, film people, why fanboy or fangirl for someone else when you have your own thing to do? So with that in mind, it kind of clicked like, okay, I got to put some work in. For whatever reason, I abandoned the whole go to see Stillwater again, although I'd still like to. At some point, I pulled into the good old coffee house. I plopped my ass down, and I was starting to do some goddamn work and starting to get some things accomplished, namely on this channel with the Disney videos and other stuff, kind of SEOing them, which is a whole big thing, using the TubeBuddy app. And then more or less, some friends came in, and they more or less, lovingly distracted me for the rest of the evening. A couple of people come in, then a couple of more, and the next thing you know, it's like, fuck, I'm not getting anything done, except I'm getting social time in, which in this day of age of horrible things in the world and social distancing, and I think it's okay for a Friday night to be sacrificed to be a social butterfly, as he used to say. So I fulfilled my friendship quotance, and I listened to people tell their anecdotes, and I nodded and smiled and chipped in my thoughts and feelings, and some things were accomplished. My buddy, fixed the fucking screen of my phone, which is always nice. But so that was last night. Then today, speaking of friends, here's my pal, Stephanie Coe. How are you, Stephanie? Uh, Antonelli, hello. How do you do? How's your family? And blah, blah, blah. So then I basically decide, okay, last night, Friday, was a bit of a scrap. I got some things done, but not everything I wanted to get done. And so today I kind of wake up bright and early, chipper, and I'm fucking hitting the streets. I'm doing things early. I'm very excited, you know what I mean, to get on with my goddamn life. And I find myself saying, okay, it's a Saturday. It's this area. I know it pretty well by now. I've been here for 2 years. I know that this particular coffee house is going to be rocking and rolling. There's going to be a lot of people. You're going to be fighting for a seat. And wherever you sit, you're going to feel like a certain tension to get the fuck out because they want other people to come in and buy their shit. And if you're sitting there like I am with a fucking stack of books and 2 computers and all types of things, people are not going to be too appreciative of that if you're just sitting around. So then the coffee house I went to last night, I'm like, I can't go there right now because that's too much of a social hour. I need to go somewhere isolated in some place where I can just do my shit and no one's going to bother me. So I had the perfect place in mind. This Panera Bread that I've gone to occasionally, but not a whole lot. And I kind of have like their ups and downs. First of all, the restroom is nothing to sing about for the men. It's like my worst fucking favorite type of men's room where it's like one commode and one urinal and they're too close together and it's just a weird setup. I don't like it. And I'm like, I'm gonna go to this fucking Panera though. I'm gonna make this happen, make this work, and put some focus time on what I'm trying to do with my life. And I get into the Panera, and lo and behold, this place is rocking and fucking rolling. Like, I'm looking like at my back table, some guys sitting there. I'm like, oh boy. I look over here, there's people sitting down everywhere you go. But there was one little area that I was like, oh fuck, I know this area. This one table that had like the cushy back and it had like, the shit. And it had a couple electrical plugs, which is always important. So I'm like, well, I guess I know where I'm sitting. So I sat down and I had a mission. And, I know myself at this point. Here's another life lesson for writers or for anyone who does anything. It's okay to know yourself. You know, if you know what you have to do to be productive, it's okay. You gotta get rid of these fucking voices in your head, like I have. It's taken a long time of people telling you how to do things, how to manage your time, or how to manage your mind. I finally learned, like, I need to fuck around on the computer a little bit, like that asshole on his motorcycle. I need to go on YouTube and look at a couple of dumb videos. I need to see what's going on in Facebook. I need to get my social media hug from the world. I need to see what the hell's going on Twitter, fuck. And I need to check my email 3 or 4 times. Like, I need to do that shit before I lock into something bigger. You know what I mean? Like, because it's just going to bother me. Like, I fell victim to it like everybody else. You know, all these algorithms and all these fucking, you know, we're guinea pigs for the fucking big blue thumbs up button, right? So, but I know myself. I say if I don't, you know, do this for like half an hour or 40 minutes, um, I'm not going to be productive in my writing because it's going to feel like loose ends or, you know, did I send an email to some asshole and did they respond and blah blah blah. So I you know, engaged. You know, I went through, I checked all those things, you know, email there, Twitter fuck there, and then I got to writing. You know, and of course this Panera. Now, luckily, some of these goddamn places have been saying, oh, well, Starbucks actually, not Panera. I'm choking. I'm okay. Starbucks more so than Panera have been limiting your time. Like, please, because of the present situation, limit your time to 3 hours or less in consideration of our other guests. I don't know if you've seen that at Starbucks, but Panera did not have that. I kind of felt an interior thing, like, am I here too long? Because, folks, I think I got there to this Panera. I was definitely there before noon. If I had to put a guess on it, I'd say I was there like 11:30, and it took me like 15 fucking minutes to unpack my 2 computers, get all this shit plugged in. I did 2 orderings, probably ordered, you know, 21, $22 worth of stuff, but really just kind of minded my own business. And I got 3 episodes done of Fight or Play Basketball on the Kindle Vella app, which is basically this thing where you can write these books in installments. So I'm sitting there with my 120-page screenplay, and now I'm transferring my screenplay into a novel, which is opposite of what most things do. Most things are a novel that get transferred to a screenplay, but I'm sitting there and I'm writing. And even during that process, I'll be honest, I had to take breaks. You know, sometimes my mind starts to wander. I get the trigger finger. I need to see what's, you know, if I get any blue likes or if any Twitter shit happened. You know, I'm falling victim to the game. It's not like I'm fucking, you know, who's that guy? John Goodman movie, you know, with John Turturro. I could tell you stories. Barton Fink. You know, it's not like I'm Barton Fink with a fucking typewriter. You know what I mean? Hi, Carla. And hi, Stephanie. And Carla. I'm just complaining about my life, Carla, just discussing things. How I went to, you know, this Panera Bread today, and I did some writing, and I just felt good about it. Now, I see some things going on Twitter, and this is some pro wrestling stuff, but it's a story that everyone can relate to. I'm making a joke because this wrestler, CM Punk, just came back to wrestling after 7 years gone. He's gone to a different company, and all the wrestling fans are all excited, but it's just like I had to make fun of it a little bit because the wrestling fans will obsess over this guy or obsess over any wrestler. And I made a little, you know, those things on Facebook where you make a little post, but you have like the little block and you can write stuff in the block and it's kind of cute. So I wrote this, and you can put any celebrity in there instead, Kim Kardashian, whoever, but I wrote headlines for the next 2 years. CM Punk sneezes backstage. CM Punk takes a crap. CM Punk bangs his wife. CM Punk walks a ferret, etc. Now, the point that I was trying to make was the fanboyism of it all. Like, hey guys, I'm making fun of us. I'm making fun of society. I'm making fun of pop culture. We could use like take Kim Kardashian, Britney Spears. Anybody could be in that situation where you just obsess over this celebrities things. There's real life going on. Carla's got a real life situation. Carla, if you've got a web link or something that people could, if you want to write it, go ahead and I'll put it on the post there to get you some attention for that story that we talked about privately. But there's real life situations going on in the world that are very important. But people in their what I call voyeuristic escapism, which I just coined that term right now, voyeuristic escapism. We lived through Kim Kardashian's pussy. We lived through CM Punk's wrestling trunks. You know, we lived through these other people because we're not satisfied with our own lives or we're afraid to live our own life. So if I'm worried about you know, is Caitlyn Jenner going to become governor of California, or did Joe Biden have a hiccup today, or President Biden have a hiccup, or did you know, Kim Kardashian and Kanye break up again? What the fuck difference does it make? They're not worried about me, and then you kind of wonder about this weird, especially American, but other countries as well. I think India has a big thing with celebrities too, with Bollywood. Bollywood. But I just feel like I always go back to what was it, 1996? They killed Princess Diana. I mean, the lunatic press killed this lady. She's trying to do her fucking thing. You know what I mean? And and it's upsetting to me that she's trying to do her thing, Princess Diana, just trying to live life. She's divorced from this fucking Charles guy, and she's dead. You know what I mean? Because these maniac paparazzi are chasing her down the fucking street. And I always think about that. And it doesn't seem like any lesson was learned from that, in my opinion. I could be wrong. And I just wonder when people, you know what I mean? Like someone's taking a photo. I think it was the comedian, the comedic actor. Yes, she was very good. Candle in the Wind, the Elton John song, or the Goodbye English Rose, the remake from the Marilyn Monroe tribute from Elton John. Um, Tracy Morgan, I believe, actor, comedian, very funny guy. He's been on a ton of stuff. You know him. I believe it was Tracy Morgan who was like in a car accident, and basically somebody in one of these Disney World groups, or I think it was the Disney Reddit that I'm on, somebody posted a picture. Oh, I saw Tracy Morgan at Disney World today. Well, it wasn't a picture of the person with, you know, Morgan with their arm around him. It was a picture of Tracy Morgan in like a fucking motorized wheelchair, you know, trying to get around Disney World. And he obviously wasn't posing for the photograph. And I'm thinking, you're a fucking creep. The person who took the photograph and is sharing this on Reddit, like, if you had asked Tracy Morgan, wheelchair or not, hey, can we do a picture together? I'm a big fan. That's a little, I mean, the guy's on his private time at Disney World, but that could have happened. I could see that. And if he says yes, he says yes. If he says no, he says no. It might have cheered him up to talk to a fan. But to take a picture of this guy when he's obviously not in great shape, he's had this horrible car accident. He's trying to enjoy Disney World. He's in the wheelchair. You know what I mean? I just find like it's an invasion of fucking privacy. And you're a fucking creep and a weirdo for taking a photo of this guy. And we as a collective society, feel that we own these celebrities. And that's the fanboy fuckery. We're living vicariously through them. We feel like what they do somehow reflects upon us and vice versa. We're looking to cancel people. We're looking to build them up. We're looking to shoot them down. Juan's checking in. What's up, Juan? I had some good stuff in here today, Juan. So if you rewind it when it's over, you get the whole story. I'm just talking about what I call this vicarious living of people through their celebrity idols. And that's the word idol. You know what I mean? If you look up idolatry, and I always say that wrong, but if you look up idolatry and false idols, and then you see things like American Idol and Britain's Idol and all this shit, we are really a factory of nerds who live vicariously through these people. And I try my best to not do that. Now, at the same time, I'm doing all these videos where I'm kind of encouraging people in some warped way to enjoy what I'm doing in my life. But I hope that it's inspiring to you to do things and to change things. I mean, I think the biggest thing that I've done the last 3 or 4 years was to move out of New England, and I've sung that fucking song a few times, and I've played that violin until the strings are broken. But I just feel, to me, it is a big fucking deal because I was hitting the invisible ceiling, the invisible ceiling on my own potential where I was. And look, who would have got thunk that 5 months after I moved, the world would go to a flaming ball of shit, and we'd have these worldwide pandemics and all these goddamn awful things. And but hey, I haven't gotten it yet, baby. I have not gotten that fucking illness. I get the fucking vaccine, and I'm doing pretty good. So I played dodgeball with it. I'll be honest, I took some chances during that time. I wore the goddamn mask. I even had a plastic face shield, and I was wearing fucking baseball gloves on both hands. I'm glad you didn't get it, Carla. That's good. Socially CC in the house. I never got the goddamn pandemic, but I took what I considered, uh, well, we might have a debate there, CC, but I got the fucking uh, vaccine. I felt comfortable getting it. It's now FDA approved. But even before that, I was being pretty fucking cautious. Like, picking my spots is a term that I like to use. I would go to coffee houses and restaurants where I could sit in the corner away from people. I went to fucking Disney during the middle of that shit, but you have to wear a fucking mask. Thanks, Juan. I appreciate that, buddy. He likes my logic on things. I would go to the fucking, Disney during the middle of the goddamn pandemic. First of all, there was less people. They did a temperature check every time you'd come in, and then you have to wear a mask the whole time. Now, you don't have to wear the mask outdoors. You have to wear the mask indoors. I'd go to movies, as many people on Mike's instant movie reviews for the last 2 coming off. You know what I mean? Had a little blip there. But the point is, if I was going to places publicly and there was no one near me in a movie theater and a restaurant, I'm not going to fucking wear the mask. You know what I mean? So the point is, and I'm really hoping that I'm not one of these people like Melissa Joan Hart, the actress that played the teenage witch. She got the fucking COVID. I said the damn word. You're not supposed to say the word. It fucks up your video. But anyway, she got the fucking pandemic, and she was vaccinated. So that's a downer because that kind of hurts the cause to get the fucking vaccine if you're on that end of the equation. No, I know Carla's not, Cece's not. That's okay. But my point is, I really hope I don't get this fucking thing because I don't know if I can handle it. To be honest with you, I don't want the pain of it. First of all, I think one thing that people are forgetting about is it doesn't look too comfortable. And some people say, oh, it's just a fucking fever. I don't know about that. I've had people that I'm close to that have had it. It seems like more than a fever or flu to me. In any event, the point of this thing was fanboy fuckery. I worked the wrestling fans. They're all in a goddamn tizzy now in these wrestling Facebook groups because of my fucking statement. And it's like the point of my statement about the CM Punk wrestler that, okay, for the next 2 years, the headlines are going to read, CM Punk sneezes backstage, CM Punk takes a crap, CM Punk bangs his wife, CM Punk walks a ferret. It's making fun of pop culture. It's making fun of living vicariously through celebrities. It's way over the fucking head of these wrestling fans. They don't get it. They don't understand it because then they're saying, "Oh, you don't like CM Punk?" It's like, no, asshole. I don't like you living vicariously through CM Punk. I don't give a flying fuck one way or another about Punk. I'm happy he's back. I'm happy he's wrestling. But if he sneezes or walks a ferret, I don't need to see a fucking headline about that. And these fanboy fucks do. And I mean, a buddy of mine just got back from some fucking convention. They had Michael Rooker. And I'm like, well, who's Michael Rooker? Was he the guy? And then I start like naming all these fucking movies that Michael Rooker was not in. I'm like, was Michael Rooker in Monkey Shines? And my friend's like, what the fuck is Monkey Shines? I'm like, oh, Monkey Shines is this goddamn movie where this guy is jogging with a backpack full of fucking bricks and he gets hit by a car and then he's paralyzed and he's put in a wheelchair. And then this company assigns him an experimental pet monkey to help him do his stuff like a seeing eye dog, except it's a fucking seeing eye monkey for a paralyzed guy. Like instead of a dog, the guy in the wheelchair now gets a fucking monkey. Now the only problem is the monkey's like poison and evil. And I'm like, okay, well, Candyman's good, but let's fucking remake Monkey Shines for Christ's sakes. And I'm thinking that was Michael Rooker, right? Well, it wasn't fucking Michael Rooker. Michael Rooker had nothing to do with Monkey Shines. And I'm like, who the fuck is Michael Rooker? Then I'm just throwing shit out there. Was he the guy? Was he in Highlander 2? And then I'm correcting myself. No, that was fucking Michael Ironside. That's the guy from Zeist. And I'm going down this fucking avenue of bullshit in my mind, trying to figure out who the fuck Michael Rooker is. And then finally, like, was that Henry's Portrait of a Serial Killer? And kabloom, kabloom, kabloom. The torpedoes were damn Tom Petty. I looked up fucking IMDb, and yes, there he fucking was. Michael Rooker was the guy that played Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, which is a great fucking movie, by the way. Dark as fuck, scary as fuck, low budget as fuck. And of course, my friends didn't ever hear that fucking movie. They're like, what the fuck is that? So that conversation was null and void. But it's like, you know, I watched that Val Kilmer documentary. I told you about that. I did a Mike's Instant movie review on Val. And that guy was living the fucking life. Now he's kind of, not to say he's paying the price, but he's got fucking throat cancer. You know what I mean? He's got his sons. He's doing okay. But I tend to think that everybody in their life has like a peak. You know, like you have like a good run. 5 years, 10 years. Okay, buddy. Whoa. Get all excited. Juan's got to go. Gee whiz. So I'll talk to you later, Juan. Thanks for checking in, buddy. But I get all excited about this Val Kilmer movie. My point of that whole thing was everybody, I think, has like a 5 or 10 year run with a peak. And you might take a self-evaluation. You might say, you know what? I think my peak was when I was 20 to 30, or maybe when I was 15 to 25, or, 17 to 19. I'd like to think that I haven't hit my goddamn peak yet. I'd like to think so. I could be fucking wrong. You know what I mean? Like maybe I look back and say, oh shit, when I was doing this other goddamn thing, I was at my fucking peak. Stickman, episodes 1 through 4 was my fucking peak. Blood Sugar Sedace. Who the fuck knows? So anyway, folks, that's about it. I appreciate everybody checking in, chiming in. We had some good feedback. If anyone's got anything, Carla, I was giving you the opportunity to plug your story, but maybe you don't want to do that right now. Maybe another time. That's fine. Stephanie Coe, nice to see you. Juan Rodriguez, check it in. Good guy who came over from the ASMR. I finally figured out the ASMR stuff. It's like soothing stuff. I guess I don't like soothing. You know what I mean? I don't. I've been listening to the memoirs of Billy Shears. Fair enough, Carla. When you do, let me know. And I'm not going to say anything until you tell me to, or if you even want me to. So the memoirs of Billy Shears is the story of Bill Campbell, who some suggest was a replacement Paul McCartney. If you listen to The Sage of Quay, Quay, it's a really go-to source for the Paul is dead conspiracy theory. There's a lot of stuff on this, folks. I listened to the book. I'm listening to the book for the second time. And basically, well, I'll put a little shout out for you. Basically, the whole Sage of Quay and what he talks about on his channel is the whole Paul is dead thing. The theory being that the original guy, Paul McCartney and the Beatles, got killed in a car accident like in 1966. I believe September 11th, 1966. There was even an actual newspaper article published with a photograph of a smashed up car. And if you listen to a lot of Beatles songs, he blew his mind out in the car, blah, blah, blah. There was the man who made the grade. There's all these like hints and allusions. The Sgt. Pepper album has all these numerical things. I look scary there, don't I? But if you look into it, the Paul is dead thing is pretty fascinating. This is not a new conspiracy. I'm not making this up. It's been around for a long time. There's this book called The Memoirs of Billy Shears. It's from the perspective of fantasy fiction of Paul McCartney, who we know as Paul, under the guise of fiction. And the guy that reads the audiobook version is actually, I believe, the son of who was the fifth Beatle, the guy that was their producer guy. So it's all very intriguing and interesting, and I recommend it if you want to go somewhere different. Okay, Carla. Well, we're deep into this thing. I will mention it now, but I feel like a different video would do it more justice. I don't. Basically, Carla is involved as an advocate. I won't get into the personal reasons until another time, perhaps. But against child abuse. Child abuse is a horrible thing, not only in the United States, but worldwide. I mean, there's so many levels to it: child exploitation, human trafficking. It's all very disgusting. But in our own country, uh, a lot of these kids in the foster care system, a buddy of mine actually, I think, had 4 or 5 foster kids. A lot of these kids are being mistreated and abused. And obviously, not against all foster parents or against all situations, because there's mostly good people and stuff, but there are kids that are with their natural born parents that are being abused too. So want to bring some attention to that, because a lot of times we think about it for about 5 seconds and then we move on. But I know Carla is involved in bringing attention to it in a bigger way. At some point, she might, uh, you know, give me more information that I can share on how to help. But just something to think about, as we go through our lives. I have bitches and complaints. You have bitches and complaints. But imagine some of these kids, what they're going through. You know what I mean? And can you imagine the horror of being a kid that's stuck in a house where there's abuse going on and you can't do anything about it? And everything you see on fucking TV, or the kids go to school and obey your parents. What if your parents are fucking assholes? They never give you the fucking answer to that query, do they? You know what I mean? They always obey your folks. Well, what if they're fucks? You know what I mean? So that's the thing. I hope I did that well, Carla. I hope, but I don't know if I did. But I try to bring some thought up, and maybe in the follow up, we'll dig a little deeper. Well, that's about it, folks. We had a nice interactive Saturday night slam. I was happy. I got 3 episodes done. If you want to check out Fighter Play Basketball, you can read the first 3 episodes totally free, no obligation, on Amazon. And then the Kindle Vella thing is what it is. I think you have to have a Kindle or a Vella, or like the Vella or the Kindle fucking thing for your computer. Here we go. Thanks. HR 458, Stronger Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act. Read and support. There, I'll leave that up there for a minute. That's the Stronger Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act. There you go. That's what I was looking for. Very important stuff. Very important. So there's Ultimate Fighting on tonight. It's some type of live show. As you know me, I don't like to stay home. I bring my computers with an S on the road. I have a fucking backpack with 2 laptops. One's a PC, one's a Mac. I got everything covered, to an extent. One's for watching and monitoring the world, and one's for doing stuff. So sometimes people see this, and they're, what's with this fucking guy? Me. I don't know what they're thinking, but I'm getting shit done. Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't want to have a bunch of different little windows. You know what I mean? Like a split screen. I want one big screen for monitoring the world, and the other one for doing stuff. And it works for me. You know what I mean? And I bring a fucking little table with me. I bring a little table with me to get my work, to put like the fucking monitor computer up on, so that I can get my fucking neck, so I'm not creaking my goddamn neck. All right, folks, that's about it. It's Saturday night. As Elton John would say, Saturday night's all right for fighting. I will put my hat on. I will say good night. Thanks for checking in. Once again, HR 458. I believe this is in Rhode Island. Uh, Hopefully, it's national as well. Stronger Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act. Read it, support it. Thank you, Carla Parham, for putting that out there because it's tough work that you're doing. It's a great cause. And, you know, people just, if you happen to be in a situation where you know someone is the victim of abuse, a kid, as an adult, you kind of have a responsibility to say something, do something, contact an authority, but don't shy away from it because that kid needs help, and you might be the person that's got to help him. You know, that's why you're adults, or we're adults. Okay, folks. Good night. Everybody, drive safely. Subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel.